We all know the story of Kaiju Universe and a few other Kaiju games like Project Kaiju, Kaiju Arisen, and Kaiju Alpha, all victims of Toho's copyright takedowns. Although Kaiju Universe is back right now, it just isn't the same. Don't get me wrong, the original Kaiju are fun, and I think there's a lot of potential with this idea, especially if they design it well, but some people just want to play as Godzilla. There's some controversy as to why exactly the games were shut down, even accusations on foul play of people deliberately getting the games shut down, or even people impersonating Toho itself to fool Roblox. It's a whole lot of drama, and I don't exactly know all the details. That's not what this video is about. Today, we're going to talk about something a little more positive, the future of Roblox Kaiju Games. First, let's take a look at some of the old games. So obviously there's Kaiju Universe, which although has improved, I can't say it's made a full return, especially with its current player count. The game still operates basically the same as it always has, just with new original Kaiju. Project Kaiju is also planning on making a return. It honestly did a pretty good job of rebranding after the Toho takedowns. They created a whole new roster of replacements for the copyrighted Kaiju, and some of them actually looked pretty good. The only mistake was adding the True Titan skin that basically had the original Kaiju, which Toho ended up picking up somehow, leading to their demise. But it's coming back, so if you enjoyed the gameplay, you have this to look forward to. Kaiju Arisen is unfortunately truly dead, and will never come back. Although the original devs are working on newer games, something about a dinosaur fighting game and an anime battlegrounds game, but it's still sad to see though, since I'd consider Kaiju Arisen to be one of, if not the best Kaiju games on Roblox back when they were all around. So first things first, if you look around Roblox, you'll actually find a decent amount of Kaiju games still around, and these actually do have Godzilla in them. Although the thing is, these aren't really games, it's kind of like a model showcase area where you don't really do anything, you just walk around. The gameplay value is basically non-existent, and most of them are run by much smaller development teams. Some of them might even be just run by one person. So I don't think it's fair to put these in the same category as the bigger competitors. Okay, so now let's define what a Kaiju game is. I know the word Kaiju technically means strange beast, but that's literally anything. A horse can technically be a strange beast, and I'm sure nobody considers horse life to be a Kaiju game. Giant monster is a more understandable term, but then again, aren't dinosaurs just giant monsters? I don't think Dinosaur Simulator can be classified as a Kaiju game. Some people do consider Creatures of Sonaria to be a Kaiju game since some of the creatures are pretty big, but I think Creatures of Sonaria is more of a survival game that happens to have Kaiju-like animals. For me, at least on Roblox, it seems what everyone calls a Kaiju game is a game comprised of giant monsters, mostly in the Godzilla franchise, with focus on PvP, meaning no growth stages or anything like that, and there's usually some kind of buildings involved, or like a city the Kaiju can destroy. Now, I assume you all clicked on this video because you wanted to play as Godzilla and all the copyrighted Kaiju, not some reskinned originals. So let's take a look at these kind of games first. Alright, let's start with the big one, Age of Titans. I know, I shouldn't really say the name because Toho executives might see the video and take down the game, but they recently made the game public. The game used to go by a different name to keep it hidden, but they kind of just dropped that recently, so I guess they don't care anymore. As of posting this video, Age of Titans has by far the biggest player base of any current Kaiju game on Roblox, but it's also really early in development. Like most of the menu doesn't work, and there's only 2 playable Kaiju, although I don't really know who would grind for the second one at this stage. But right now, the game isn't much. All you really do is walk around the map fighting other players who are 9 times out of 10 using the exact same Kaiju as you, and you can destroy a few buildings. But I think the game has the fundamentals down. The models are pretty good, and the animations are smooth. The combat style is very similar to Kaiju Arisen's, except for with Kaiju Universe numbered attacks. The buildings are also looking pretty good, and if they keep this up, the game could become the next Kaiju Universe. So the question is, should you play this game? And the truth is, I'm not sure. The game is currently public, and it even made it to the front page, which is very detectable by Roblox. So in other words, the chances of this game getting shut down are pretty high. I don't know why they decided to make the game public. Maybe they worked something out, or if you believe in conspiracies, maybe there's someone protecting them. Who knows? But in my opinion, it might not be smart to invest too much time in this game, especially since there's not much to do anyway. Moving on to the next game, we have Titans Evolved/Detected. Titans Evolved is a kaiju game that's had decent development, so some of you may have already heard about it before. But there are a few changes. The original Titans Evolved has now been rebranded to Kaiju Detected, which has some of the content from the old Titans Evolved. Meanwhile, the new version of Titans Evolved is basically starting over with currently only 2 kaiju. So while Titans Evolved is still a thing, the original game that was once Titans Evolved is now continued as Kaiju Detected. Yeah, it's pretty confusing. Whatever you want to call it, here are some leaks of the game models, animations, and movesets. It looks very top notch, and I can't wait for the game to actually release. Yeah, unfortunately you can't play the game as of making this video, and all that exists for it so far is development images of what the models will look like, but hopefully they release testing soon. Even though you can't play the game right now, definitely keep an eye on it. The development is going strong and some of these look really promising. Alright, next up we have another big one, Kaiju Revolution. This game, unlike every other kaiju game I've come across, should be safe from copyright, at least in theory. The thing with Kaiju Revolution is that they claimed they had a license or an agreement or a quote-unquote permission or whatever they're calling it. The point is, they're saying they should be safe from the copyright police because they are allowed to make kaiju games on Roblox.
I've had a lot of questions about Toho, and I've seen a lot of questions about Toho. So I know my announcement was a one-off and may not be clear to a lot of people, but yes, we have permission from Toho to make this game, guys. We're not doing this in secret. We're not hiding behind smoke and mirrors. We are the only ones in talk with Toho, as far as I know, to make a game of this scale.
I don't know how much of this is true since I've never actually seen any proof of this permission from Toho to make Roblox Kaiju games, but they do seem to be pretty confident in it, and most of the developers say the same thing. The models for this game are phenomenal, perhaps even better than any previous Kaiju game on Roblox, and the animations are there too, so it's clear they're putting a lot of work into this game. The only stumbling block is you actually have to pay to play it, at least right now. The early access costs about 100 Robux, and there's really not that much going on in the game right now, so maybe it's better to just wait. There are claims that this could be a dump and run scheme where players purchase the testing, the game drops, and whatever agreement they had doesn't work out, game gets shut down, and they just disappear with the money. But I don't really see that as being a possibility since the resources going into making this game would far outweigh the small amount of earned Robux from players purchasing early access. But definitely keep an eye on Kaiju Revolution. Maybe buying early access isn't the best move, but the game does look promising, especially if they really do have permission from Toho to release this game. On to the next game. This one I don't know too much about since I actually found out about it randomly under the Roblox recommendations. The game is called Monarch World and it looks like it's been up for a while, so this isn't exactly a new game. Interestingly, it didn't seem to have gotten taken down during the purge. The game itself is pretty unique in a sense since all the models are blocky and you aren't spawned into a kaiju right away. Upon pressing play, you will be teleported to a room where you can choose to either play as a kaiju or a human. If you choose kaiju, it's pretty much standard gameplay. You destroy buildings, fight other players, and you have a numbered moveset. The blocky aesthetic is nice since it really differentiates itself from most other kaiju games, which usually try to make its models as movie accurate as possible. Now, if you choose human, you can choose from a selection of human-operated vehicles, or you can just choose to play as a human. It's an interesting game, but it's still pretty unfinished, so there's definitely a ways to go in terms of development. The only problem is I have no idea how they're even still around and how long they will still be around for, but since it's up right now, definitely go check it out. Okay, so there's one more upcoming game that will definitely have Godzilla in it, and I've actually never heard anyone talk about this at all. and it's also confirmed to be officially licensed, so you have zero worries about it getting deleted. The only problem is we know literally nothing about the game. The game is called Monsterverse Super Social Roblox Experience, and the only thing I could find on it were a few articles talking about upcoming Godzilla games. The game is supposed to come quote unquote later this year, so later in 2024 since the article was published in August, but right now it's already 2025, so I'm guessing it's getting delayed. The game will be developed by Super Social, who makes games for the metaverse, and it looks like these guys are partnered up with a bunch of companies. They also seem to specialize in making Roblox games, which is pretty interesting, although I've never actually heard of any of these games before. Have you guys heard of any of these games before? Most of these seem to be events like the Super Campus event, and it looks like the original game doesn't even exist anymore. The ones that aren't events, like this officially licensed Pac-Man simulator game or Modelverse, are pretty dead as of right now. The games don't look bad, but it's not exactly enticing either. Could be because I don't generally play these kind of games. The only thing we do know is that you will play as quote-unquote Monarch operatives, which I'm pretty sure are the scientist guys in the movies, but they do say you get to interact with the kaiju, so it's possible they'll let some players play as the kaiju rather than just interacting with NPCs. What I don't expect is for the game to be anything like Kaiju Universe, Project Kaiju, or Kaiju Arisen. There's not much to go off of, but from the stuff we do have, it doesn't look like it's going to be a fighting game of any kind, and based off of what Super Social has made before, it's not looking too great. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and the game could actually turn out great. So in terms of Roblox games with Godzilla in it, things aren't looking too good here. We have Age of Titans, which who knows how long they'll last on Roblox, and Kaiju Revolution as well as Kaiju Detected are both pretty promising, but there's no guarantee they'll be immune to the shutdowns. And then we have this mysterious officially licensed game, which may or may not be good. And the next best option, of course, is to pick up a Kaiju game with original Kaiju. Many of the old games we all know and love offer this, like Kaiju Universe, Project Kaiju, and there's some new ones too, like Kaiju Battlegrounds, Attack on Kaiju 2, but I do understand, the selling point of many Kaiju games in it of itself is the appeal of playing as Godzilla monsters. So what's your play? Are you waiting patiently for the new line of Kaiju games to release? Or are you moving on to original Kaiju games? Or are you just simply giving up Kaiju games altogether? Let me know down in the comments below, and as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.